she speaks a lot about that, the cultural appropriation aspect of, how black people, our culture is for everyone, but it doesn't get any respect. And a lot of people, and I've heard it said, not to my face because I don't deal with people like that, but they'll say like African Americans don't have a culture. And that's always been so crazy to me because black people have been in this country for so long and we've shaped so much of the music, the culture itself, the food, everything. And it just kind of gets brushed under the rug. But then people not a part of our community utilize it and profit from it and tell you it's not a big deal. And it's like, yes, it is. Like, this
Right.
is what we have. That's the culture is important to every group. Irish people have a culture, British people have a culture, Black Americans have a culture. Everyone has a culture. So to kind of like push Black culture to the side, especially when it comes to Black Americans, is always kind of like piss me off. And I feel like she does a good job of kind of describing how that can be infuriating, you know, but say it in such a way that it's like, but we're still beautiful. That doesn't mean we shouldn't still stand in who we are. So, yeah.
So, so as a Haitian American, there, like I said, there is an innate removed experience
Mm-hmm.
and a removed sometimes like realization. I think growing up, I've said that, like, yeah, or not. I've said it. I don't necessarily wholeheartedly believe it.
Mm-hmm.
The realization with, going through thinking about the inspiration from African American and cultural ex- artists,
Mm-hmm.
the challenge of the African American experience specifically, it feels like you don't African Americans don't own their culture, because of, like, on one end, like you said, appropriation, but I think there's also appropriation within blackness within itself. And I was thinking about, we use the example from Scales of, use the word thug essentially, right? Thug became part of like pop culture, and I think there's like appropriation within thug also. The demeanor, the aura of what hip hop offers, right? It's like of being a thug, of being hard. And a lot of rappers, I think rap has become a form of like cultural appropriation from this subsect of the black experience, and becomes utilized as the dominant representation of
Mm-hmm.
the black experience. It feels like there's a it feels like it's hard to go back, right? Because there isn't a staple. There isn't like, yo, like this is some. It feels like there isn't a, yo, this is what we own. And I think the challenge is that the history of like why it feels like that, of the appropriation, and at times not knowing the truth of history, right? Like a lot of the African American history and experience is still being unraveled at times,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think we're getting closer to a point where people are like really embodying and respecting the roots and the history and the efforts within African American experience, because so much of the history has been the oppression, the trauma, right? It's Jim Crow, slavery, civil rights. So many of the themes are focused on the oppression and negativity, but like having the information of the success and the triumphs, plug Black Excellence Calendar, like
Mm-hmm.
trying to show like, yo, there's more out there. I
Yeah.
think I think that's gradually kind of taken away that ignorant mindset of African Americans don't have culture. I think there's progress being made.
I also feel like that's on purpose, though. When
Yeah,
you
yeah,
look at who,
absolutely.
yeah, like when you look at who controls the narrative, a lot of the times Black people, Black Americans aren't in control of the narrative because we're not allowed to be. Because if you can profit off of us, you don't need our voices really. You just need, you know, our culture. And I feel like a lot of the times I see conversations where Black people say we got to gatekeep. And it's funny, but it's true because when we don't
Yeah,
have somebody to kind of protect what it is that we've gone through as a people, when we don't have somebody when we don't have people to kind of say, hey, I'm black, I'm gonna put somebody else black on that is good as well. And and we kind of like keep selling parts of our culture off because it's money over everything a lot of the time. um you're right, there's like like a reckoning happening right now where there's a lot of reclamation of everything. Like, look at the words that have been used against black people for generations, whether it be thug and ghetto and ratchet and all and stuff like that. And then we reclaim those words, kind of change the definition, and kind of throw a little bit of pride on it. Like, yeah, okay, I'm ghetto fabulous then.